Welcome back to the Move Better Project. Today is episode 1 of the Run Better Project. This is a series of videos where I'm going to dive into how to run and how to run well. Today's the introduction, and I want to talk about really 3 things. 1 is why we run. 2 is what good running is and what that means to me. And then 3 is going to be running as a skill and really what that means and what the opportunity is for us when we run well and when we treat it like a skill rather than just treating it as something that we can do to burn off some calories. So first off, let's just a little bit of why we run. I think this is pretty easy for most people to come up with an answer for. Why would you go for a run? Well, it's good for you. What does that mean? Well, it's good for your heart, right? It's good for cardiovascular fitness. It's good for your endurance. It allows you to be able to have more energy when you do other things. But it's also good for your mental health. So cardiovascular, I think that's pretty unimpeachable. When you go for a run, whether it is a long run where you're working on your aerobic energy system, your ability to create energy for a long period of time, or whether you're going for sprints and working on more of a different energy system, whether that's glycogen-based, phosphagen-based, it doesn't matter. It's ability to use energy and to train your body to use energy more efficiently, to train your heart to deliver blood more efficiently to your entire body, to train your lungs to be able to deliver oxygen efficiently to that blood and then onto your tissues. So it's definitely the iconic cardio exercise, right, is going for a run, and it has a ton of benefits in that area, no doubt about that. The other piece of it is the mental health aspect, and I think this has gotten a lot of play in the last 10 years, maybe even longer. The idea that running, or really any exercise, but I think running is probably the one we think of most. We think of, well, it's really good for your head. You get this clearing of your head when you go for a run, and that's true of a lot of different exercises for people. But getting away from your house or your desk, or right now in the time of quarantine, certainly getting outside has that benefit to it. But it also takes away some of the distractions of life, right? All we have is our surroundings, our movement, if that's something we're even choosing to focus on, our breathing, and then maybe whatever music's going through your headphones if you use those. So running clears away a lot of the mess of our day-to-day life, but it also has physiological effects that benefit your cognitive function. So the runner's high is something a lot of people talk about, and that really is just this sort of flood of neurotransmitters that you get when you exercise for a long period of time. And I've experienced it many times, and I think having run a marathon, that was probably the most spiritual experience of my life. One of the transformative feelings that I've ever had was running that marathon, and this sensation that I had during it of almost being outside of my own body and watching myself run. Just sort of a peak experience, that running is something that allows us to have the opportunity to get into those experiences. And so we know running benefits our physical health, we know it benefits our mental health. What is good running though? Because running is something that for the most part, especially this time of year, I live in Chicago, and the weather's just starting to get nice. There's blue skies outside right now. And you start to see people all of a sudden just throw on their shoes and get out and go for a run. And some of it, from my perspective, somebody who's really analytical about movement, does not look very good. It's pretty ugly. So rather than just criticize what people are doing, I might as well put forth to me what good running actually looks like. I think there are 3 key aspects. We're going to dive into each of these in subsequent videos in much more depth. But first is good posture. Running is like any other exercise, any other movement, any other thing that we do, in that it's a chance to apply posture. And this is, I realize, the most physical therapist thing I could possibly say, right? Running is fundamentally posture. But it really is. It's a chance to take the rules of posture that we would apply in any other situation and apply them to locomotion, moving my body through space, moving it fast, and I'm challenging those positions by adding speed and by adding endurance, by adding a long effort, or by adding maximum effort if I'm doing sprints. So fundamentally, good running is good posture. And I'll talk exactly about what I mean when I say good posture in the next video. Second off, so number one, running is good posture. Second off, running is efficient. When you run well, whether it's for performance or whether it's for fun, you want to be efficient. You want to be able to use the least energy possible to do the most work, right? Whether I'm a sprinter running a 100-yard sprint, whether I'm running a 5K, whether I'm running a marathon, whether I'm running an ultra marathon, I want to be able to accomplish that feat by using the least amount of energy, which will allow me to do it faster. And even if I'm just a recreational jogger, if I'm just going outside, I still want to be efficient because it allows me to get more out of what I'm doing. I'm able to run a farther distance in the same amount of time and get a better workout or burn more calories or whatever I'm trying to do. Prevent injuries, which really is the next piece, which is good running builds resilience. And this really gets at something that is, I think, when you carve down on my philosophy about movement and training and exercise and physical therapy, is that exercise, training, whatever you want to call working out or moving your body deliberately to improve your health, fundamentally should be something that builds your resilience, that does not wear you down. Running, I think, is maybe the perfect example of a crux in that paradigm, where if I'm somebody who just goes out and runs, and I don't think about my running at all, I just do it because I'm a human being. I can run, right? I can just put one foot in front of the other in such a way that only one is on the ground or zero, then I'm running, right? And I'm getting a workout, my heart is pumping faster, I'm breathing, okay, I'm running. People who do that tend to have injuries. Running, I'm not saying anybody should not run. I'm not discouraging people from running. In fact, the whole point of this series is to encourage people to take it up as a habit. But if I don't think about it and I just go out and do it, my body is not going to be able to handle that unless I'm doing it in an efficient manner. So running produces an incredible amount of injuries in adults in the United States. And really 4 big categories of injuries is plantar fasciitis, irritation of those structures on the bottom of the foot. Knee injuries, whether that's patellar tendonitis or runner's knee, the big one. I skipped over the Achilles, which Achilles tendinopathy or tendonitis or tendinosis or whatever thing you want to throw after the word tendon. Sometimes people call that runner's disease because people just beat the crap out of their calves when they're not running correctly. And I'll get into all the biomechanics and nitty-gritty of that in subsequent videos. And then iliotibial band issues, the IT band. Oh, my IT band's tight. Well, it's not, but I'll say what I mean on that in subsequent videos. But whether it's hips, knees, ankle, or foot, somewhere that lower extremity is going to break down if we're not running properly. But if we are running properly, not only is it going to avoid those kind of injuries, it's actually going to prevent them. Because bad running can be a vicious cycle, but good running can be a virtuous cycle where every step, rather than breaking you down, is actually building up the strength and stability and mobility and endurance that you need to be able to run well. And so that's really what good running is. We think good posture, we think efficient, we think we're building rather than breaking down. The last thing I want to talk about is that running is a skill. And I kind of mentioned this a little bit in some of the earlier points, but running is not just something that you do. When you were a kid and you first started running, you knew how to do it. But unfortunately, with the world we live in and the shoes that we wear and the positions that we spend time in, you have forgotten. Maybe not you specifically, if you're an expert running coach or you've been coached and you know what you're doing, maybe you run really well. But if I'm a betting man, I'm going to put money that you probably don't. We have that skill. It's just like squatting. Babies can squat perfectly. Anybody who's had a baby or spent a lot of time around babies know that infants and toddlers, they have a beautiful, perfect squat, and then you lose that as you spend a lot of time in the modern world. Well, running is just like that. It's been trained out of you. So we have to break it all the way down and build it back up, because it is a high skill movement. I'm moving my every joint in my body almost, and I'm moving my body through space, and I have to be able to do that with skill. I have to focus on that skill. What's possible when you treat running as a skill rather than just something that you do is that you have the ability to cultivate good movement, to cultivate good posture, to cultivate good patterns that carry over into all of these areas of your life. And not only do you get the physical benefits that we talked about earlier of improved cardiovascular health and endurance, you also get improved posture, you get improved strength, you get improved movement quality. So there's so much more possible when you treat running as a skill. And then in terms of mental health, there's more of a benefit, because it's not just about getting away from distraction, it's about actively cultivating mindfulness. Because what created for me that meaningful experience when I ran a marathon was that I was so intently focused on my breath and my movement for a period of 4.5 hours that I essentially, got this incredible meditative experience. And that's what's really possible for people who run. That's why people become addicted to running, is that runner's high. But it's not just about a high. It's about this creating this mindful state where we're really focused on our movement, we're focused on our breath, we're focused on exactly what we're doing and nothing else. And when you treat running as a skill, you have the ability to create that level of awareness. When you treat it as just something where I'm going to flop around and burn some calories, it's not bad, but it's not the best. And we want the most possible benefit that we can get if we're going to spend our time and energy on something. So that's a little bit of kind of the basics of my theory of how I think about running. So we're going to do a bunch more videos, and we're going to talk about every little aspect of what I just introduced. So I hope you'll join me for it. I'm Sam, this is the Move Better Project, and we'll see you next time.